It was a night of terror in the quiet coastal city of Bat Yam, Israel. The date was February 20th, 2025. Just after 1 a.m., a series of explosions ripped through the night, shattering the stillness. 3 buses parked in separate lots just 500 meters apart were engulfed in flames. The blasts sent shockwaves through the city, shaking residents from their sleep. Emergency services rushed to the scene, sirens wailing to confront the aftermath of the attack. Thankfully, and perhaps miraculously, there were no casualties reported. The absence of casualties did little to quell the fear that gripped the city. The explosions, clearly a deliberate act of violence, left Bat Yam reeling in shock. This was a stark reminder of Israel's vulnerability to terrorism, a threat that had haunted the nation for decades. As dawn broke over Bat Yam, the wreckage of the buses served as a stark reminder of the violence that had visited their city just hours earlier. The investigation began immediately. Israeli police, the Israel Defense Forces, and a Shin Bet intelligence agency descended on Bat Yam. Their mission to piece together the events of the night and uncover those responsible for the bombings. The bomb squad carefully combed through the wreckage of the buses, searching for clues. 2 additional unexploded devices were discovered in Tel Aviv, just a few kilometers north of Bat Yam. These devices, identical to those used in the bus bombings, were successfully neutralized, preventing further carnage. The initial findings were troubling. The explosives used, particularly the timers, bore striking similarities to those commonly employed in attacks originating from the West Bank. A note found near one of the bombs sent chills down the spines of investigators. "Revenge against the Tulkarem camp," it read, pointing towards a possible motive and origin for the attacks. The eyes of the investigation turned north towards the volatile region of the West Bank. Tulkarem, a Palestinian city in the West Bank, had been a focal point of Israeli military operations since a ceasefire with Hamas on January 19, 2025. The city was a known stronghold for Hamas, the Palestinian militant group that had long been at odds with Israel. While no group immediately claimed responsibility for the Bat Yam bombings, a message posted on Telegram by the Qassam Brigades, Hamas's military wing, raised suspicions. The message, while not directly claiming responsibility, praised the attacks, further fueling suspicions of Hamas's involvement. The timing of the attack was also significant. Just hours before the explosions in Bat Yam, Hamas had handed over the bodies of 4 Israeli hostages. The hostages, including 2 infants, their mother, and another civilian, had been killed during a Hamas attack on October 7, 2023. The return of the bodies, while a relief to their grieving families, had also sparked outrage and calls for revenge in Israel. The bus bombings, so soon after the return of the bodies, seemed to fit the bill of a revenge attack, pointing towards a possible connection. In the wake of the attacks, Israel took swift action. Transport Minister Miri Regev immediately ordered a temporary halt to all public transportation across the country. The pause, while disruptive, was deemed necessary to allow security forces to conduct thorough checks and ensure the safety of public transport systems. The pause was later lifted, but the increased security measures remained in place, a stark reminder of the ever-present threat. Meanwhile, Defense Minister Naftali Bennett ordered increased IDF activity in the West Bank. Checkpoints were reinforced and entry to certain areas was restricted in an attempt to increase security and prevent further attacks. The bus bombings in Bat Yam had shaken Israel to its core. The attack, a stark reminder of the volatile security situation, had left the nation grappling with a sense of vulnerability. As investigators worked tirelessly to piece together the events of that night, the question on everyone's mind was, what happens next? The answer, like the future itself, remained uncertain.